even though this year's Olympics are wrapping up, there is actually some stuff to talk about when it comes to the 2028 Games in Los Angeles, but not particularly positive reasons. All the headlines point to one man, and that is Casey Wasserman. He's the head of the LA Olympic Organizing Committee. Rollie Pemberton is here, Teri Hart is here, and Tara Slone is here. Teri, for listeners who are maybe not fully immersed in the business side of entertainment, can you just tell us who Casey Wasserman is and why he's been in the news for the past few weeks?
Sure. So Casey Wasserman comes from generations of Hollywood power players, and they mainly dealt with like owning studios and talent agencies. Casey's had a sports agency for a really long time, and then he bought Paradigm. That's a music agency. And then he bought Brillstein, which is an actors agency. So just to recap there, that means he has sports, music, and actors. Yeah. And we're talking big talent. We've got Brad Pitt, we've got Florence Pugh, we've got Coldplay, we've got Kendrick Lamar, Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews.
The most powerful people, their agents are with Casey Wasserman's agency.
In each of those pillars. Yeah. So he, as you said, he's also the head of the organizing committee for the Olympics for LA 28.
That's how big of a deal he is. They made him the head of that committee. Yeah.
And you know, well, I mean, he kind of created the coalition, I think. Like he is the guy. Yeah. And so he's in the Epstein files for his relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell from a long time ago, but it was definitely a personal relationship that went on for a long time, and he was married at the time. But they were before her crimes were known. I think that's important to mention. Yeah. But some artists aren't having it. They don't care about those facts or those kind of mitigations. The first person to walk away from the agency was Chappell Roan, and I think she deserves a really big shout out here for that. And originally he was like, I'm standing my ground. This was a long time ago, and sorry about this. But now he has decided to sell the talent agency. Yeah. But he is holding on tight to that 2028 Olympics.
He's still the head of the organizing committee. Yeah.
The last I read before I came in here today was the most recent article in The Guardian, and they are reporting that 1/3 of city councillors are calling for Casey Wasserman to step down.
Yeah.
So he's not
including the mayor, by the way.
Vociferously.
Yes.
So he's not in the clear there yet, but I think it's not done.
Yes.
But it's ugly.
So let me just contextualize some things. You know, he says that he never had a personal business relationship with Epstein, and all of the mentions of his names in the Epstein files, like, they don't show any criminal wrongdoings. But again, like, in response, you've had some of those musicians, some of those big names sort of begin to leave. Chappell Roan, as you mentioned, the most high profile name, but like, it's mostly been smaller artists on the roster who've been cutting their ties to the agency. Like, you had Orville Peck, Vancouver rapper Baby No Money, the indie rock band Wednesday. Before I get to you, Rollie, Tara, let me ask you, you're a sportscaster, but also a musician. How is this story sort of impacting the worlds that you move in?
Well, it's funny. I mean, kudos to musicians. And, you know, the weight seems to have fallen on women and B, smaller artists who are generally the ones who can't really afford to make these moves. So you know, I think that their principles are guiding the way. But I did just also read that Imagine Dragons have left. But on the music side, you know, you're feeling the repercussions a little more. Sports side, absolute crickets, other than
silence.
Silence. So, I mean, and I will say, obviously, like, you know, when it comes to the hockey side, which is what I pay attention to, many of these players are in the midst of playing Olympic tournaments. Yeah. But there are NFL players, there are MLB players, there are broadcasters. So maybe to them, the fact that he's going to step away from the agency side will suffice. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it makes me proud of the music community that this is the side that's stepping up. It makes me disappointed for the sporting community that is the side that is not saying a word. Yeah. And I think when it comes to the 2028 games, I think he's going to have no choice but to walk away. It's just going to become too much of a thing. And I think once you already have Karen Bass, the mayor of LA, saying that she wishes you were gone, I mean, he's going to get too much pressure just he's too much of a quote distraction, as they say.
Well, Rollie, you wrote about this recently. You wrote about the relationships with agents and why agents can sort of really influence an artist's career. So, like, talk to us about like this relationship between an artist and an agent, and what exactly is at stake when you have an artist who's like, you know what, I gotta leave this agency. I gotta leave my agent. That's a really big deal.
Yeah, that's huge. I wrote about this on my Substack. And, the agent, next to your label and your manager, is probably the most important person for a musician. They're the person who has a relationship with different venues and promoters, and they're the ones who negotiate your fees. I've had the experience where I've had an agent and I've not had an agent, and we'll be negotiating with the same festival or event, and they pay me less when I don't have an agent. They offer less, right? And so it's really the agent. They protect you. They're your champion when interacting with these other entities.
Yeah. Are you surprised that we're not seeing more names when it comes to this sort of Casey Wasserman story?
I'm not surprised, but it's also a very complex situation because with Wasserman and all the things underneath it, like Paradigm, say you're signed to an agent on Paradigm, you probably never met Wasserman or interacted with him at all.
Yeah,
but it's
and
just
your agent is like has been championing you.
So when you look, I'm interested to hear about Imagine Dragons leaving because I think their agent is the same agent as Coldplay.
Yeah,
and I heard back in the back rooms, they were trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to move our entire roster to somewhere else?
Oh,
so it's a thing where it's like we're doing stuff behind the scenes and it's taking time.
Yeah. The only time that I've seen this has been in Jerry Maguire, because that's the only depiction of agenting that I can sort of remember that most people sort of, go like Tom Cruise in that movie. Incredible work.
Now I've got Show Me the Money in my head.
Yes. I'm sorry to put it there. Look, as I mentioned, Wasserman has agreed to sort of sell the agency, but the quote from him is, "I believe that I have become a distraction." As of this conversation, he's still the chair of the LA Olympic Organizing Committee, despite all of that pressure that you talked about, including from the mayor, Karen Bass. As you mentioned, Teri, we have this situation where he's been sort of publicly disgraced, or at least like there's so much controversy around him. Still stands to make a fortune, though, doesn't he, from that sale? What are your thoughts on this idea of like these artists who've kind of leaving the agency? They're the ones taking the sacrifice. If he sells the agency, he stands to make quite a bit of money on this.
Yeah, so I'm going to be a bit of a fly in the ointment here, or maybe not. I mean, I don't think this is the artist's responsibility. These artists didn't do anything wrong. And as Rollie just really accurately pointed out, from a musician's point of view, you need your agent to be your representative, to be your champion. Yeah. And so why are artists who had absolutely nothing to do with this, who just happened to be on a roster for a person whose name's on the door or on the building or on however many places the Wasserman name is, why are they taking the hit for this? And we're not talking about, Imagine Dragons, very interesting, but like we're talking about bands who aren't necessarily household names.
Like Wednesday, yeah, totally.
Chapel Rowan is going to be fine,
yes,
and I still think that she deserves a huge credit for doing what she did. But I think that with this Epstein horrifying truth that has come out, and the number of people and the number of men, and the questions that it brings about of like, how many of these rich, wealthy men are wanting to sleep with children? Yeah. And what does that say about what has been going on for decades, that women have been saying, we have a problem, and or young girls have been saying, and young boys too. But I think people want some kind of answer here. And it's coming from the wrong places. Yeah. People are sacrificing themselves in a way that they are not responsible. They had nothing to do with it. So I know that they want people to be held accountable, but let's make sure in this tempest that we are holding the right people accountable, the people who are actually in the Epstein files. Yeah. And I just think that I'm going to pull a line from the Jay Baruchel commercial. Yeah. Let's stay focused here, people. Yeah. Let's remember that it's not the musicians who are signed to the agents who work for that talent agency. No. It is Wasserman. It is the people who are actually in the files, and we have to hold them accountable.
They have stuff to answer for.
Yes,
right? Like
people who are artists making a living as artists shouldn't have to walk away from the infrastructure that makes them money and allows them health insurance.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And also, I think that's a good place to leave it there. Before I let you guys go, though, I'm just going to take a moment to maybe get a recommendation from each of you. If you got one, we're gonna go around the table, 30 seconds each, if you can manage it. Tara Slone, I'll start with you, pal. What do you want to recommend?
Well, 10 years ago last month, David Bowie released his last album, Black Star, which was a stunning piece of work and made even more stunning by the fact that we didn't know he was extremely ill, and he died very shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
So to me, that is an album that sits so deeply in my heart and soul. Somebody who was contemplating their mortality as they made this brilliant piece of work.
It's a hell of a record, and it reads so differently, 10 years later. Totally agreed. Rollie, 30 seconds to you, pal. What do you got?
So my recommendation is Love Story.
Ryan Murphy.
Yes, the Ryan Murphy, JFK Jr., Carolyn Bessette.
Yeah.
Miniseries. I'm loving it. It's just delicious.
I've heard it's so good, but I've not actually began watching it yet. So
it's just it's so 90s, and the outfits are pitch perfect, and I just watch it with my wife, and I'm having a lot of fun watching it.
It sounds delightful. Teri Hart, over to you, pal. What do you got?
Come See Me in the Good Light.
Hey,
the Andrea Gibson documentary about her journey with breast cancer and with her partner Megan Foley. It's nominated for Best Documentary at this year's Academy Awards. It is a movie that really does reaffirm the beauty of life as somebody is facing the end of theirs. And really, for me, it was also about community. Yeah. And it has stayed with me for a long, long time.
I wept all the way through it, so I highly recommend that people absolutely watch that. In the meantime, I got to say goodbye to all of you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, you.
Thanks, everybody.
Teri Hart is an entertainment reporter for Super Channel. Rollie Pemberton is a writer and rapper better known as Cadence Weapon. By the way, you should look out for his new album, Forager, that comes out in April. And he's got a new book coming out in May. It's called Ways of Listening. And Tara Slone is a host with Sirius XM and for the San Jose Sharks on NBC Sports California. She was in Toronto. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This show is called Commotion. We'll be back on Monday. Love to see you then.